Paint day has gotten here for this guy. So what I'm going to do is paint this. I've got a red oak stain. I like to use Provincial, Puritan Pine, some of the darker colors. And I'm going to go over it with that, all except for the skin tone parts. After I get through picking off the little pieces. But I'll leave got in the habit of leaving the skin tone parts natural. Can't find anything that really makes a good skin tone color as far as I am. It's too pink, it's too red, it's not red enough. So I'm just leaving it natural unless something else changes my mind. And I'll cover this in stain, and then I'll use kind of a dry brush technique on the oils to finish this up with oil paint, then set it and let it dry. So I'll cover this thing with stain, then we'll let it dry, and then go back with the oil paints. I usually just use a cheap brush, but I found this pretty good brush here in the shop, which really means I couldn't find my cheap brushes. But this end grain stuff really soaks this up, and that's pretty dark, but that's the bad thing about this. Once you start, it's no going back. But it's all going to be painted, and this will make a good reason. One of the reasons I picked this color is I had it. But the other deal is it will look good on the end of the feathers. And you just got to make sure to get down in all the cracks, because that's going to be the shadow part. And if you don't have those in there, well, it's not going to look good. But you do have to watch. This stuff will bleed, so kind of watch it around the face and all. In fact, what I'm fixing to do is turn this thing around. You can see where it's already bleeding through on there. And this will just be the process for this whole thing. And I'll be careful. I'll get a smaller brush to go around the face and the hands where I don't get stain on those. And I'll come back when all this is done. It's called a filbert brush. And this is gone. I'm going to touch up I'm going to get all the close places. And this doesn't hold the stain like the other. There it goes. So I'll go in and get all the little cracks, and this way I can paint around the face. See, it'll run, so you got to be aware of the ups and downs, because you know it's going to run downhill. I'll paint this and let it kind of bleed on down. You see where that's bled down to right on the forehead. Get a little closer. And you just anticipate that with stain and just work with it. And if you got a real tight spot to get into, wait till your brush is kind of dry. You've used it up on other stuff, and then paint around it. Like so. And you don't have to really worry about getting too much stain on it, because if you cover up a piece that you didn't want to, you can always lighten it up with paint. Like if I messed up around the skin tones, I can always go in and mix up some paint. Even though I don't like to do that, if I mess it up, you know, it can be corrected. Okay, so I'm going to continue this and finish up the little small parts. You have to turn it upside down because you think, oh, I've got it all done, and then you turn it upside down and you see those spots that you missed, they just really stick out. Then I went back and even, so there's one right there. Just, you got to really look at it after you think you're through. I did the bottom and wiped it off as soon as I put it on there, and I think that really enhanced the grain. But I'll now wipe off I just have an old t-shirt here, and I'll just wipe off any excess. No, I don't look for much to come off, but just to kind of pick up anything that might still be wet. Got some paint, got some oil paints. I'm starting with titanium white, and I've got it on this styrofoam plate. There's the paint. And what I do is just get some of that. And I mean, I spread it out until it's using the dry brush technique, and it is dry. And then I'll just start putting it up here for the feathers, the ermine, and I think that's all the white that'll be on this one. And I just brush it on there, kind of give it airbrush effect. To kind of get in on all these cracks. So I don't worry about like up under the headdress. Don't worry about painting all up under there, because that'll get handled later. And if you mess up, you can just wipe it off with your fingers, but to be a little neater, I'll get a cloth, because it's early in the painting process but you can't even see it on camera, but I'm down here on this part here. It really doesn't matter a whole lot on this technique. And that's all the white. He's gonna have a white stripe down the arms where he did some bead work. Okay, that's the white part. Now I'm going to use white and yellow ochre and probably a burnt umber to get the buckskin color. I don't know how long old oil paints last, but these are really old. Here's my yellow ochre. I'll just mix this together. And I do try to mix up enough to do the whole project though. I think that's going to need a tad bit of, I don't know if it's orange or brown, but be some more color adjusting on that, but I think that'll be enough to get the whole thing done. See how that see how that works on this dry brushing technique. You color it, and it where the darks are, it colors real good, and especially on the fringe, looks like you spent days painting each individual piece of fringe when it's really not the case. And it'll be the same thing for the legs. Okay, so I got the legs done, the feet. Little excess piece there, just rub it off. Completed the back of the headdress. This is for the cigar store Indian style. I don't do all the detail on the inside of the feather because this is going to be turned backward and very few people are going to look at it, but if they do, at least it'll be painted. So that's what I do and the reason for doing it like that. Anytime I use black on this technique, it's just pretty much painting it on there. I mean, it's just kind of dark on dark, but some of this, like this barrel part, just looks black. I don't have a silver or gray, so I'm just going to mix white and black. I don't have, and kind of make my own color. Now this would not be, as they say, historically accurate, I don't believe, because I think that all this would have been, it would have been black color. They call it, it would have been blued. Going by my old reference photo as to how far back that needs to go. And he actually he had made a rifle and decorated it with some brass tacks, which they often did. And I'm going to get that to put the pattern that he had on there. He had a little teepee set up here and some, I don't know if the numbers meant anything to him, but I'm going to do the same number of dots, and I'll just use the probably a gold fine point permanent marker for that. And I did forget he had these hair locks on the, I carved in there. All right, got my reference photo here. It shows this little beadwork along the arm. So I've got this taped off, and I'm gonna put my white stripes down there to go back and paint my design on this beadwork. And I've done this free-handed before, and it looks pretty rustic, if that's what you're going for. But I have figured out that, hey, they were pretty accurate and precise in their handiwork, artwork of doing this bead stuff. So this is the way I do it now. And I'm going to do that on both arms and the legs. This base coat that I put on has been on for a couple of days, or maybe, yeah, and it's dry to the touch. It's not thoroughly dry, but it doesn't come off when you touch it. So that's what I'm going for. I just want to be able to put get this coat on, and just the amount of time that I took to paint it, I'm going to peel the tape off and see how that looks. Happy with it so far. better than I imagined. The one thing about this is this thing dried with just about none of the orange tint on this buckskin. So I don't know what I'll do about that. And also, when you dry brush it, the drying time really shortens for the oil paints. Here's a picture of the legs, or the leggings. And again, I did the same technique, just used masking tape, the painter's tape, whatever they call it. Use a thumbnail to clean up a little bit right there. Alright, so I'm calling the old Cowboy to Indian project done. Or nearly done. There's a little bit more I have to do, but here's how you ended up. Back of the face, or back of the head, got the headdress on there. The gun. It's also got some making those brass tacks that are in there, and some up here, decorations that they often use. Got beadwork on his legs, his arms, and up here, and around the headdress, and the fringe. The moccasins fringe on that leg, fringe on the arms, and that's that. Now what I'll do to finish this, kind of pretty much the very last step, I get some kind of marker, and for the base it's just I sawed it off. And I get this stick-on felt, and I'll just put it on the edges, get a straight place, where the carving's just barely hanging over, and I'll mark it all the way around, front, back, sides, all that, and get some good scissors or a knife. Oddly enough, I don't have a knife that's really sharp enough to cut it. Just kidding. But there I have the shape, and I'll just cut around it, and I'll go right inside that line so it won't stick out from the carving, from the base. And I'll just cut it out and then stick it on there. And then that'll be done. I mean, all of it will be done. Once you get it cut out, you have to get a little piece started where you can get a little piece started, roll it where you can get it peeled off. You don't want to stretch it too much. And if you can remember which way, and I can, because the front of this is the flattest part, and just place it on there. If you can just get it started, stick it on there like that, and there's always one little place, but that's not bad. Now, I just think that adds a whole lot to it. Not only that, you can put it on a surface and it won't scratch it. And that one's done. So I'm done with this one. It was a long time in the making. It was a rather long process. But y'all saw nearly every cut I made on it. I did some of the painting on there. After I finished the painting, I sprayed it with a clear lacquer and then put some antique and wax on it and just wiped that off, and that's my finish. got the bottom put on there, and so I'm done with this one. I really enjoyed doing this. I really enjoyed the story behind it. It being kind of part of the family, and just knowing the guy and his story made it even more pleasing to do. I hope they enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it for them, and we'll do the next one. Let me know in the comments if you like this style of video, or if you'd rather just like, here's what I'm going to do, and then move on and not show every little detail. But just let me know about that. I kind of got to where I like this, but it is long and tedious. I got a couple more coming up, and of different subjects. I've got a Santa that I'm going to do, and I've got a caricature cowboy that I'm working on. So stand by for those, and thanks for watching.